this story. More than 500 members of the Muslim Brotherhood have been sentenced to death by a court in Egypt. All of them are supporters of the former President Mohamed Morsi, who was democratically elected in 2012 but deposed in a military coup just a year later. Let's cross live now to Belle True, who's in Cairo for us with the details. Belle, an extremely harsh sentence. Was this expected?
Well, absolutely. I mean, this is one of the largest death penalty verdicts, I think, in Egyptian history. We've got 529 defendants who've been sentenced to death in Minya, which is in Upper Egypt. Now, this case refers to a day of violence following the forced clearings of 2 Cairo sit-ins in the capital. We saw a lot of retaliatory violence from supporters of Mohamed Morsi, with people attacking churches and police stations. In this instance, the court ruled that these people did kill a police officer and attempted to kill 2 others. And there were 16 people who were also acquitted in this case, but it's a significant escalation on the behalf of the authorities against the supporters of Mohamed Morsi. They say that the Brotherhood is a terrorist organisation, that the leadership have incited violence, and that the protesters have used force against security forces. Now, the Muslim Brotherhood and its coalition, the Anti-Coup Alliance, they say that all their protests are in fact peaceful and call these kinds of verdicts politicised. So we're going to see quite a lot of tension in the future.
And what sort of reaction do you expect to see on the streets?
Well, with something of this kind of verdict this large, we're going to see quite a significant reaction on the streets on the behalf of the supporters of Mohamed Morsi. They maintain that they are being cracked down on too harshly. We've had at least 16,000 people arrested since the ouster of Mohamed Morsi in July, and they've kept up their protests almost on a daily basis, particularly in the students' sector in the university. So what we really expect to see is quite a lot of protests against this enormous death penalty verdict. However, we might have supporters of the regime, the military and the government coming out in support of the verdict. There's a lot of people here in Egypt who do regard the Muslim Brotherhood as a violent organisation and have condemned the behaviour of the protesters, who they say have been violent against the security forces. So we may see rival protests taking to the streets in the coming days, just a few weeks before we go to elections for Egypt's new president.